we would like to offer a very heartfelt welcome to Megan, and hope you enjoy.
Wow. This is an amazing crowd. What an incredible group. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. When I got the email from Dawn that said, there's 160 people who've RSVP'd for your talk, I'll admit I did one of these. Oh my God, what? I've been trying not to think of what 100 people in a room looks like. And now that I'm standing in front of you, it looks amazing. It really looks amazing. So thank you again for being here tonight. I want to thank Dawn and Sarah as well for inviting me to come and speak tonight. And to Ian and Josie as well, and for Ian's wonderful song bringing us into this evening. As I look out over everyone, I realize that we don't just have 100-odd bodies in the room. We probably have more, around 300 or 400, depending on how many of your spirit guides you brought with you tonight, of how many decided they wanted to come and see what a human being has to say about them and their experiences. But I want to start off by asking a few questions, just to get a show of hands. So first of all, how many of you know or believe that you have a spirit guide or some kind of energy being that's helping you navigate this human life? Awesome. How many of you are completely skeptical about the whole thing? Really? Truly? I'm the only one in the room? And it isn't that I don't know that I have my 3 spirit guides that are with me tonight. Joshua, the lady, and Sundance happen to be their names. But I'm always skeptical. It's really healthy to have some skepticism. And all that skepticism is a questioning of the things that are happening to you that are described as being absolute fact. Because in fact, we really don't know. What we want is to know or believe that there is somebody or something that is looking after us, that loves us unconditionally, that no matter how we treat them, we might ignore them, we might pretend they don't exist, we might not believe in them, we definitely don't listen to their guidance and advice all the time. And yet, even with that, we still want to have that energy around us. We want to know that we're not alone, right? Yeah, and yet at the same time, it's good to wonder. It is good to wonder if that gust of wind on your cheek is just a gust of wind. And could it be that that gust of wind on your cheek is also a confirmation or a communication from something else, a different energy? So when I put my hand up and say, I'm skeptical about the whole thing, that's what I'm talking about. I want you to always question. Because sometimes there is a very logical explanation. And that's where I want you to start on any journey that you take into the psychic realm. Actually, in any journey that you take. I want you to start with what makes the logical sense in the grounded physical human reality that we're in. And the reason for this is that every other experience you have after that can then be put into that context. Does that make sense? Yeah. So I'm going to ask again, how many people are skeptical about this whole thing? Be honest. Okay, good. Excellent. So here's the thing as well. I'm not going to tell you that spirit guides exist. I'm not going to tell you that angels are real. I'm not going to tell you that your garden is full of fairies. And I'm not going to tell you that your grandmother is sitting next to you right now. Where is she? Right there. And is watching over you and is taking care of you. And the reason that I'm not going to tell you that is because you have to have your own experience of it. So when I was preparing for this talk, I did a Google search. I was really curious to see what would come up if I typed in spirit guides. Okay, any guesses as to how many hits? 1,800,000 in 0.04 seconds. Yeah, and that was just spirit guides. I wasn't looking up how to talk to spirit guides or how to channel spirit guides. That was just spirit guides. So something is going on if there's that much interest in this topic. Either we're all delusional, it's possible, or there is something real going on here. Let's do one more show of hands. How many of you know that you've had an experience with a spirit guide? Your own or somebody else's? Okay, I guess I can go home then. But even within that, there's doubts, right? When that experience happened, did you dismiss it or try to find some way to explain it in that grounded, very physical way that we have? And at some point, did you wonder if you were crazy? Did you wonder if nobody else in the world's ever had that experience? And so you can't talk about it in polite society? That's a good thing. It's a good thing to question it. Because what you will eventually come to is the truth. That's the body saying, yes, this really happened. I have this spirit guide. I have this entity. I have this individual who looks after me, who watches over me, who guides me. Now, the other thing I found out when I was doing that Google search is how much of the information on the internet is repeated, which is surprising, I know. So I was going to different websites, looking at other people's experience and exploration around spirit guides, and a lot of the same information was coming up. So a lot of stuff about the difference between a spirit guide and a deceased loved one and an angel, and the different hierarchies. And this is all information that you can find when you do your own Google search. It might take a while to go through the 10 million pages, but I guarantee that when you do, you'll find there's a lot of repeated information in there. And that's great. That's perfect. Because as a species, as an imagination-based species, we love to create order, and we love to have lists, and we love to have an understanding of what's going on. What I would invite you to do, and even with what I say tonight, in fact, especially with what I say tonight, find your own system that makes the most sense to you. And whether that's Sylvia Browne's experience of spirit guides, or Doreen Virtue's, or John Edmonds, or whoever it is, if you find that you love the way that they explain it to you, perfect. But also at the same time, find your own explanation. Find your own relationship. Find your own understanding. Okay? I said imagine-based species. Have you ever heard that before? No, I just made it up, actually, earlier today. It makes so much sense, though. Because I want you to take a moment and think about that time when you thought it was your spirit guide talking to you. And then you said, that's just my imagination. And dismissed it. Let's do another show of hands. How many people in this room at some point or another in your life had your experience dismissed by being told it's just your imagination? Yeah. And do you know what creates self-doubt? Having your experience devalued and dismissed over and over and over again. That's what creates self-doubt. What I want you to do is think about your imagination for a moment. Because the first thing I'm going to do with you tonight is change your relationship to your imagination. Look around this room for a moment. Make eye contact. Look at the things people are wearing, what you're wearing, the way the building is made. And realize that every single thing that you are looking at came from someone's imagination. Right? So feel that for a moment. Nothing exists, including your relationship with spirit guides or energy beings or whatever you want to call them. Nothing exists without your imagination. So I don't want you to ever say again to yourself or anybody else, it's just your imagination. It is your imagination. That's the thing that's so impressive and important about it. And if there's one single tool or technique that I could leave you with tonight, it is to know that your imagination is your most powerful way to connect with your spirit guides, your other lifetimes, your own creativity. And in order to do this, I want us to do a group exercise right off the bat to shift any residual. Even if you don't think you've got it, I guarantee you've absorbed some of it just from the culture that we're in. I want us to shift any doubt that we may still have in our own perceptions, our own feelings, our own experiences. Are you guys up for it? Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to put your feet on the ground, if you're comfortable, if that works for you physically. So feet on the ground, because this work is very grounding. We do need to actually stay connected to the earth when we do this work. The reason we have spirit guides, our energy beings, is to help us with this walk that we're on. So let's get our feet solidly on the ground. And then what I would like you to do is take your hands like this. This is called a mudra. Is anyone familiar with hand mudras? Anyone heard that before? It's yoga for the hands. It's hand positions that create certain results of health and healing. And then I want you to put them here in your lap. Just nice and relaxed. Relax your shoulders. Let your belly hang out. Settle into the chair. And what we're doing here is creating a container, a circuit, between the root chakra and all the way up to the throat chakra. Imagine that circle. The reason we stop here is because it's actually the throat chakra that holds all of your beliefs. Both the limitless beliefs about yourself and what's possible for you, and the limiting beliefs about what's possible for you. And when we start bringing up the limiting beliefs, they get caught here. So we want to make sure this is nice and clear. And so that's where the circle does this. All right. So closing your eyes, I would like you to take a nice deep breath in and exhale. And another nice deep breath in. Exhale. And one more time. Okay, and now for a moment, open your eyes and look at me. I want you to take your hands and do this with them. Okay, now you can close your eyes again. So in between your two hands, there's an energy field that's building up. And you'll start to feel it as you try to move them together slowly. It feels like there's pressure between your hands, or heat, or tingling. You're each going to have your own experience of it. And in this container that you've now created between your hands, I want you to place every experience that you've ever had where somebody dismissed you. I want you to place any doubt, worry, concern you have about your experiences being validated and valued. I want you to fill the space. Okay. And when you feel like it's full of all that stuff, what I want you to do with your hands and that ball of energy that you're holding is to push it up. We're going to do this together as a group. Up over your heads. Okay? 1, 2, 3, go! Ooh! Did you feel that? I'm covered in goosebumps. Now with your eyes open and just being totally grounded and in the presence of everybody, just try again with that hand thing and see, when you think about all those doubts and all that, see if there's anything left. There isn't if you can get your hands together without any resistance. And if there is still a little bit there, that's fine. You can work on it at home. You can just do that exercise again and clear it out completely. Beautiful. So now that we've shifted any of that resistance, let's ask this question and feel the yes or the no in your body. Do spirit guides exist? Do you get a yes? You don't have to get a yes. You might get a no, and that's totally fine too. Okay. But is your body telling you the truth that that's the case? That it isn't just about us. And that this life that we're living and the way that we navigate it comes with help. And that you can ask for that help. And if it is appropriate, that help will show up. And there's a few ways that that can happen. I could tell you. I could say, your spirit guide, there's a woman standing behind you right now. She's a little bit taller than you are, wearing the typical white robe, short blonde hair. She has her hands on your shoulders. But that's my experience. And you could look at me and say, wow, that's amazing. You're so right. Or you could look at me and say, what are you smoking? Or you could look at me and say, that didn't resonate at all. I don't feel that whatsoever, and I want my money back. Not from them, though. I could take you through a guided visualization, which I am going to do a little bit later. It'll be a short one, though. But a lot of those guided visualizations that are out there right now in those 10 million pages are really long. Have you noticed that? Oh my gosh. You're going to grow old before you get to the part where you actually get to meet your spirit guide. But I could do that. I could take you through that long process, relax you completely, give you hypnotic suggestions, and you could have an amazing, life-altering experience with it. Or nothing could happen. Third, you could tell me who your spirit guides are. First thing that comes to your mind. Okay, perfect. How about you, sir? Dragon. Nice. Let's see. I'm gonna put someone else on the hot seat. How many have you got? Yeah. How many? Just first number that comes into your head. 3. You experienced that. I didn't tell you. I didn't suggest. It comes from your own knowing. Right? This is by far the most effective way to connect with, again, spirit guide, other lifetime memories, any knowing that you need to bring to the forefront in any kind of healing work you're doing, or just the knowledge, is to go to that third method. I call it the rapid response technique. First thing that comes into your mind. Because that way, doubts don't get in, you don't filter, and you don't judge the information that shows up. And most importantly, it's yours. It's your story. It's your remembering. It's your knowing. So remember at the beginning I said, I'm not going to tell you that spirit guides exist, because you need to have your own experience and your own relationship with that knowing and with those beings, whoever they might be. So when we look at how can we connect to these beings, let's suspend disbelief at this point. Let's just say they exist. We've all got them. The room's full of them. Okay. But one of the biggest questions that I always get, and even came up on the meetup board, was how do I know? How do I connect with them more? Every time I try, I freeze up and I feel resistance, and I don't want to. But I want to. I really want to. Only I can't, or everyone else can and I can't. Who has that feeling? Everyone else in the room can connect with their spirit guides except for me? Yeah, okay. So guess what? You're wrong. But think about what popular culture tells us about spirit guides. It's not like that. Here's something else that I saw when I was doing that Google research. This idea that they're there for us 24/7. We can ask them anything we want. They have to show up because they said they would. That was the contract that they made with us when we came into human form. And they're benevolent beyond belief. Oh, they have such patience with us, and they just love us unconditionally. And it's the best relationship ever. I want to give you a different thinking about this. I'd like you to consider that they're not there 24/7. Because they've got other things to do. And quite frankly, your life is not that interesting to them. Until something happens that you need their help with. And not to say that your lives are boring, it's not that. It's that they've got other things to do. You came here to be a human being with everything that that entails. Your spirit guide's job is to help you take responsibility for your life and your life path. It is not their job to stand around 24 hours a day, averting their eyes when you go to the bathroom, watching and waiting for that moment where they can leap in and save you. Now remember I said earlier, find what works for you. If this doesn't resonate for you, if you don't love where I'm going with this, that's totally fine. It's totally fine, because you have your own relationship with this knowledge and information. I would ask you simply to have an open mind. Imagine the relationship between spirit guide and human being like this. Spirit guide, therapist. Human being, client. If anybody in the room, actually, show just curiosity, who in this room is a therapist, counselor, helps other people out, talks? Just a couple, okay. Well, who's a parent? Okay, that works too. So you have your client, and they come to you with their trauma, their problem, their transition, the change, whatever it is that they need to make. And they sit in session with you, and you give them your heartfelt wisdom and guidance. And they go away, and they come back the next week, and they tell you the same story. And you give them the same information and wisdom and guidance. And they go away, and they come back the next week, and guess what? They have the same story. And you give them the same guidance. And now you're starting to get a little pissed off, because they're not listening. They're not getting it. So imagine that your spirit, remember I said the benevolence? Yes, of course, they're wonderful beings. But they were human at one time or another. They're fairly close to our vibration, they're fairly close to our understanding, and they remember what it's like, which means that they're fairly connected to human experiences and emotions. So yes, they get fed up. They'll stick by you, they'll be there right till the end, they'll greet you when you come across, but they will get fed up. And you know that this is what's happening when you don't hear them. How many in the room have made themselves wrong because you couldn't hear your spirit guides and figured it must be something you were doing wrong? Maybe you're not doing the meditation right, maybe you had meat that day, or whatever it is. What if they're just not talking to you anymore? And in not talking to you anymore, they've opened up space around you for you to step into being responsible for the choices that you're going to make and actually following through on some of that guidance and some of that wisdom. So it's a slightly different view of spirit guides and the relationship that they have with us. Now there's 3 levels of intuitive wisdom that are really helpful in understanding how this whole dynamic works, and then what you can do with it to strengthen that relationship with your spirit guides, who, like your best friend, is not always going to be there for you, who eventually is going to say, you got to make your own way. You've got to make those choices. You've got to take the action. So I want to share with you these 3 levels of intuitive wisdom, and then from there, we're going to look at some of the tools and techniques, some of the ways of knowing. Goosebumps is one. Here come mine. And then I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey. We're going to play after that. So the first level of intuitive wisdom is this: you. You are far wiser, far smarter, far more brilliant than you ever give yourselves credit for. And this is why they step back for much of the time, because they know you already have the answers. You have all the solutions to every situation, challenge, problem, you name it. You already have all of those solutions within you. And do you know why? Because you've done it before. We're suspending disbelief, so let's go with, we've all been here before, yes? We have a sense that maybe this isn't our first rodeo. So what are you doing with all that wisdom and all those experiences from other lifetimes? Use it. Go to yourself first. Go to your higher self first. The only time you're going to need to go to the next level is if you don't listen to yourself. And we all do it. We've all been there. How many of you have stayed in that job a year or two too long, even though yourself has been telling you it's time to go? And how many of you have stayed in that relationship because you can't go yet? You just can't. But the voice is saying, really, the energy's done. We're good now. It's time to go elsewhere. But we don't. We stay. We're afraid. We don't know what it's going to look like. We don't trust ourselves to make those wise choices. And so that's when we move to the second level of intuitive wisdom. And that's our spirit guides. That's when, I sort of imagine it like a boardroom, and all the spirit guides get together, and they go, okay, bring your person in. Yeah, you know what, it's been like 10 years. We got to step in. We got to do something here. The way that they do this, though, is very subtle. As much as we would love it if they would just yell at us, wouldn't that be great? Like, just, here's the answer. Here's the platter. It's right there on the platter. But they don't. They will, however, make sure that your free will is still fully operational, and they'll do that nudge. And suddenly that person's path crosses yours, and you have that phenomenal conversation that takes you to the next level, or changes your life completely. Or that book falls off the bookshelf into your hands. That was one of my experiences. Standing in Bolden Books, somehow I didn't have a husband or children with me, and I went to the metaphysical section and thought, I'm just going to peruse. And there's all these books about angels. And I was feeling it's a little overdone, the angels. I wonder what else there is. And as soon as that thought came into my mind, this book falls off the bookshelf, literally, and into my hands. And I'm staring down at Doreen Virtue's Healing with the Fairies. Well, now I'm juiced up. This isn't Dungeons and Dragons. This is, wow, okay, I'm curious. I want to know more about this. And that was one of the main things that catapulted me into the work that I do now, was that book falling off the shelf. And I imagine that sort of behind the bookshelf was one of my guides going, okay, hang on. Good, she caught it. Nobody said to me, hey, Megan, here's what you need to be doing in this world. I had to figure it out. I had to say yes to that possibility. And I had to deal with a whole lot of stuff in here before I was willing and able to step into that and hold space for other people in the way that I do now. And all along that way, there were those... Okay. No, it's symbolic. It's a birthing, right? It's a birthing. So all along the way, there were those nudges, or those synchronicities. You can see them, usually when you look back, not in the moment, but we get there eventually. So that's when our guides are allowed to step in. That's when they choose to step in. But again, they're not going to do it like in Hollywood. They're not going to stroll down the road with you and be your best friend. They're going to make sure that you come to the place of decision on your own, so that you can say, I did it. Me, I got there. I was courageous. I made those changes. I listened, finally, to higher self-wisdom. Now, even with this amazing capacity that our spirit's guides have to create those circumstances for us that open us up to possibilities, we are so stubborn. As a species, we really are. And we still say, nuh-uh. That conversation was just a coincidence. He can do it, not me. I can't do that. And we take everything that they've given us, and like that client in the therapy circumstance, we say, not for me, I can't do it. That takes us to the third level of intuitive wisdom, and that's the big guns. That's the universe stepping in and saying, all right, remember that boardroom? Okay, we're back to the boardroom, and the spirit guides have thrown their hands up and said, what more can we do? But she wrote this in her story. before she got here. She said, this is the reason that I'm coming back, and this is the purpose that I have. That's what she said, that's what she told us. And now look what's happening. What is she doing over here? So upper management comes in. And the universe says, okay, what's it going to be? Car accident, loss of job, death of a loved one, serious illness. These are the big life-altering experiences. And there's a whole other caliber of spirit guide, by the way, that help us with this one. And your main spirit guides are still with you, but you get a whole crew that comes in when you're going through crisis. Right? On the physical level, you seek help from counselors. On the energetic and spiritual level, your spirit guides say, okay, come on in. We need lots now. So if it's the death of a loved one, for example, then you'll have spirit guides who come in who help with grieving. They hold you, metaphorically. They make sure that the right people show up at the right time to give you the help that you need. We all have these experiences in our lives, these crises, these wake-up calls, and you have a choice. Always you have a choice. You can fall into it and let it be the thing that defines you, or you can move above it, work with it, and allow it to become an experience that takes you to a whole new place in your life. And by the way, the wake-up call doesn't have to be a negative, painful crisis. It can be something joyful. You just have to get in there, and you have to go through it. So maybe it's the big promotion you've always waited for, and it comes to you and you go, I can't do that, or I can't succeed, here comes the book contract. It's a great crisis to have. But don't be fooled, it's still a crisis because you have to go into deep emotional places in yourself as you move through that experience. If you listened to yourself in the first place, and this is not a blame game, but if you had listened to yourself in the first place, your own wise self, that crisis might not need to be so big. It'll still show up because you wrote it in your story, but it will show up in a different way and you'll have a different experience of it. Okay. And all along the way, though, do you know that they're there? When you get to that place where you say, why me? And wait a second, how come they didn't yell louder at me? Well, they didn't because you had to make up your own mind about it. But they're still there. They're still with you. You may also have required that experience. Not in any karmic kind of way. I'm not talking about karma. It's not crime and punishment or anything like that. And really all that karma is the sum total of all of your experiences. There's no judgment around any of it. It's all just how you got there. How you got to this place in your life right now. That's all karma is. So now that we've looked at these 3 levels of intuitive wisdom and you have a sense now of how powerful you are in your own human self, and then when it is appropriate or when it happens that your guides really get to play a part in it, and then when that big gun crisis happens that changes your life forever, I want you to consider, what are you going to do with all that? Let's just take a big breath. Just take a big breath in. Yeah, because I've struck some chords. And I know what I'm talking about because I've been there. I've had the big crisis. I've had the why me, I've had the where were you, I've had all of that. So I get it, I really do. Who knows about the clairs? It's kind of a 180 here, but I want to lighten the room up a little bit. Have you ever heard of the clairs? Yeah. Clairvoyant, clairaudient. There's 5 or 6 or 8 of them. There's probably more. Clair simply means clear. And then you add on clear seeing, clear hearing, clear smelling, clear touching, clear knowing, clear cognizance of the future. These are all the different ways in which information can come to you. Through your guides or through your own higher self. How many people in the room are clairvoyant? Feel like they're clairvoyant. So that means you see things with your inner eye. Could be visions, could be words, could be colors. Okay. How about clairaudient? Yeah, that's when you hear things. So you hear music that no one else is hearing. Have you ever had that? In the week before my grandmother passed away, I'd wake up every morning hearing the harp. Yeah, and then she died and it was gone. I never heard it again. So clairaudient is ways in which spirit and higher self communicates through sound. It's also when things like a song coming on the radio at the moment that you're thinking of your grandmother, and it's a song your grandmother loved. That's clairaudient as well. Okay. Clear tasting. This is a little more obscure than some of the other ones. When you taste something in your mouth that nobody else is, not that nobody else is tasting, obviously they're not tasting it. I hope not. But there is no reason for you to have that taste of spaghetti in your mouth or that taste of chocolate cake in your mouth because you haven't actually eaten it that day. But you have that feeling. And what it does is then invokes a memory. Same with smell, clear smelling. It invokes a memory for yourself. And if you're reading for somebody else, if you're sitting across from someone and you're doing that channeling for them, it might be about them, that chocolate cake, or whatever it is. So these are lots of the different ways in which information from external sources comes to you through the non-physical body. Even things like the goosebumps, that's an external experience because it's not because I'm cold. It's because something's changed in the energy. We've hit a truth, and so all the hair on my arms, the whole body stands up. You guys each have your own way, by the way, for your body to talk to you. Did you know that? Your body can't lie. It doesn't know how. So if you listen to your body, you know those gut feelings that we have, it'll be a lot easier to make decisions. You still have to do the action to follow through on them, but you can at least come to the decision at an easier. And your guides and energy beings will use your body as well. Who's ever had the experience of suddenly feeling nauseous if you walked into a room and you can't figure out why? Anybody? Yeah, because you're picking up on somebody else's energy in the room. Or feelings of love and happiness as well when you walk into a room. So there's all the clairs. And then there's the 3 S's. These are signs, symbols, and synchronicities. So again, remember, we're talking about how your guides communicate with you, both externally and then from the internal. Signs. Anyone know what I mean by that? Yeah, numbers are a sign, definitely. Objects. For me, it was hearts. I said to the universe, I just need a sign to show me that I'm following my path, that I'm making the right choices for myself and my children. What am I doing? And it became hearts. And I started seeing these hearts in nature. Beautiful hearts in the burls of trees and in rocks and all over the place. And I started taking pictures of them, and they became the message to me to follow my heart. And every time I saw them, I believed that that was my higher self and spirit's way of saying, this way. Follow the path, follow the heart. That's what my book is about, that we have over there as well. I'll talk about that a little bit later. So think for a second. First thing that comes into your mind, what's your symbol? Heart? Yeah. Numbers? Feathers? Awesome. Stars. Yes, it can be geometric shapes as well. Spirals, stars. Flowers. Flowers, yeah. Oh, clouds, thank you, yes. There's quite an echo up here with my mic, so thank you for saying that again. Yeah, clouds. And every time you see that symbol, you could choose to believe that that's a sign from higher self or spirit saying, hey, we're here, hi. Or yes, this is the way to go. Or yes, this is the symbology of it. Feathers can mean freedom. As I was about to step out of this 23-year marriage, that was my wake-up call, I suddenly saw these feathers everywhere. And it was that last moment of hesitation, and then everywhere I walked, there were feathers. Okay, fly, go. Spread your wings, yeah. You okay?
I just felt a feather.
Oh! Wow. That's amazing. Oh yeah, here come goosebumps. Just as a little aside, spirit can materialize right away, like instantly. Feather shows up. It wasn't there before. I was looking at your sandals because they're so gorgeous. I didn't see a feather down there on the ground. Ask for your sign. Don't ask for the answer. Ask for the sign that will lead you to your own answer. Those are the symbols. The signs are things such as okay, I really want to go to Hawaii, but I can't. I can't go to Hawaii. Who am I kidding? It's too expensive. I never get the time off work. I can't go. Oh, look, for sure on Hawaii. Oh, conversation with my best friend about Hawaii. Oh, there's an app on how to travel to Hawaii. By the time it happens 3 times, you better pay attention because something is going on. Once, twice, that's kind of curious. 3 times, oh please, just do it. Find a way, you'll find a way. That's the bottom line, right? Because the moment that you say yes to that knowing and that information, it starts to happen. And now, this is the part that your guides love the most. Now they get to start really having fun. Okay, give her that other postcard about Hawaii. Yeah, look at that. Okay, so yeah, give her that raise, okay, raise. Now I can go to Hawaii. And they get in there, and they work with all the other people involved and all the other guides involved to get you there. So signs, symbols, and then synchronicities. So we talked earlier about those series of events that when you look back on them, you say, okay, if that hadn't happened, then this wouldn't be happening, and then this wouldn't have happened, and I wouldn't have met this person, and I wouldn't have. And suddenly you've got this path of events that has brought you to the yes, the goal, the dream, the choice, whatever it is. And you can all think of an event, even something recent, like who's ever just moved recently, or bought a car recently, got a new job recently. The series of events that had to occur. And doesn't it sometimes feel like there's some divine planning in that? That because you said yes, you're suddenly in the flow, and these things wouldn't have been possible otherwise? That maybe, just maybe, there was something else going on? Yeah. So we've looked at some of the ways in which you receive information. And here's what I really want to make clear to you. Don't make yourself wrong. Don't make yourself wrong about anything, honestly. If the person sitting next to you is clairvoyant and sees my deceased grandmother standing right here next to me, I mean, hopefully she's not, but maybe she is, and you don't see her, I don't see her, but I can sense them. So if you sense them, that's as valid and valuable as somebody who sees them. You each have your own way of knowing these things, okay? And then we've looked at the signs, the symbols, and the synchronicities, the ways in which Spirit works with us. So let's play. You guys ready? Okay, just do one of these first. Just kind of get a bit of a stretch going in there. You've been sitting for a while. If you want to stand up, that's fine. Lean over, whatever you need to do. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Now, do you remember when I said that one of the ways that you can connect with your spirit guides is to have someone else tell you? Turn to somebody in the room. You've got about 5 minutes. Person sitting next to you, behind you, just make a connection. And you are going to tell her about her spirit guides. And then she is going to turn around and tell her, or he. And here's what I want you to do, because I can feel it already. There's this like, no, I can't do that. No, she can do it. Megan can do it, but I can't do it. Yes, you can. Trust the first thing that comes into your mind for that other person, because what's happening is that their spirit guides, and they're all in the room going like this right now, are going to channel through you something for that other person. And you don't have to get what it is. You do not have to understand it. Please try not to say, I don't know what this means, but you don't know what it means. That's the whole point. It could be a color, it could be a number, it could be a name, it could be anything. And if the other person doesn't get it right away either, please don't worry about that. This is a trust exercise. Just be happy I'm not making you fall down on each other. All right, go for it. Okay, if you haven't already, switch people. Okay, so everyone, I need you to look at the front now, please. There we go, starting to quiet down. Awesome. Wasn't that fun? Was that fun? Did you surprise yourself? In what you could say and how quickly it came in? You didn't surprise yourself? Nothing came. You must have had a thought. Something came in. I can't do this? Yeah. But what if that wasn't your thought? What if that was hers? Yeah. Remember, don't make yourself wrong. And remember what I said earlier, if you didn't get something, maybe her spirit guide isn't talking to you, isn't talking to her. They're off doing something else. They got something else going on. And doesn't it feel interesting when someone tells you something? And don't you immediately want to try to make sense of it and have it fit? Yeah, of course. We don't want to upset anybody. Of course we want to make it fit. So now that you've had the experience of channeling, which is what that was, and we haven't really talked much about channeling tonight, although what I've been doing up here is a channel. Anytime something comes to you or through you that is for somebody else, that is a channeling. Anytime you write something, anytime you paint something, dance something, cook something, creative, that's a channeling. Excuse me. One of the things that I was going to touch on was safety in channeling, how to channel safely, but you know what? You guys all know it already. And again, there's 10 million sites. You could probably Google psychic safety and find out about how to create your shields up, how to clear, how to hold yourself sacred and your space sacred. You can find that information and find a way that works for you. What I know to be true is this: in all the years that I've been doing this work, as my work, for the last 8 years, I have never had a scary experience, ever. Interesting, yes. Bizarre, yes. Amazing, without a doubt, but never scary. Yes? Okay, absolutely. All right. Right here is your heart. And it is from your heart that everything you do needs to come from. Not down here, up here. So the very first rule, if you will, that I work with psychic safety is that I always come from my heart. I always state my intention. I stated it before we did this whole evening. I stated it for everybody, which is that all the information, wisdom, and guidance that comes in for this group of people comes in for our highest good. And that I may be a clear channel for that information, wisdom, and guidance. It's very powerful. You can make up your own words. Your intention is the most important thing. Nobody can hurt you if your intention is very clear, that you are not willing to invite into your energy field anything that is not for your highest good. Remembering that your highest good isn't always going to be bubbles and rainbows and sparkles. But as long as that intention is created, is stated, you immediately, energetically, form a bubble around yourself. And it's not a bubble of protection. This is not a fear-based practice. What it does do is states that you are willing to honor your own space. You can also buy a bottle of boundary spray. No, seriously, I'm joking, but it's serious. I actually created one of my healing products. It's called Boundaries. And it is for that very purpose. That when you work with it and you spray it, you strengthen your own energy field. You breathe it in, there's an aromatherapy blend in it. And in one moment, you've cleared any negativity that might have attached itself to you. You've cleared out anything that isn't yours. And you've strengthened your boundaries. If there's nothing else that I could say about psychic safety, it is that. Know what your boundaries are and be really clear that you are sacred. And in that sacredness, nobody has the right to make you wrong, to harm you, or to put you down, or to attack you in any way. I also have lots of other techniques, and I'd be more than happy to share them with you if you want to talk to me afterwards about it, just because I really do want to get these other 2 visualizations in. But do know this room is safe. Dawn and Sarah would not have let you in here if it wasn't. And you all have come with your guides who are looking out for you. My goosebumps are coming up like crazy. There's nothing that's going to come into this room that's going to be in any way harmful to anybody here. And for those of you who've had some emotional responses throughout the evening, that's good. That's a good thing. Because the body will hold only for so long until it has to release. And if that could happen here in a safe place, surrounded by friends and like-minded individuals, then that's perfect. Yeah, is that okay? Okay, awesome. So you've told somebody else about their spirit guide. Now I would like you to meet one of your spirit guides. Some of you are more than likely familiar with this meditation. It's going to be a little different, though, than how Sylvia Brown does it. We're not going to a beach unless that's where you end up. I love Sylvia Brown, by the way. I'm not putting her down at all. So same position. Hands contained, feet on the ground. Deep breath in. You can have eyes open or eyes closed, whatever you're most comfortable with. Another deep breath in. Third one, do a nice big exhale on that third one. Now connecting to whatever way you perceive or experience visualization or information coming in, I would like you to start imagining the most beautiful place that you can. The most peaceful, the most serene. Paint it in, feel it. It might be an emotion, it could be a physical location. Just let it be whatever it needs to be for you. Give it all the detail that you can. You are right there in that beautiful, beautiful space. And in this beautiful space, I would like you to create an invitation. And this invitation is to anyone who is connected to you energetically to come and meet you in this beautiful location that you've created. And you may know who it is and you may not. That's fine. From your heart, visualize or sense or see, feel that invitation going out. And as you're waiting for your response, continue to immerse yourself in the energy of what you're creating in this amazing place that you find yourself in. And don't worry about when they're going to get there or if they are. You've sent out the invitation. Expand your awareness by connecting to all 5 senses. And feel your consciousness growing until it touches whomever or whatever has accepted your invitation. And allow that energy, whatever it is, to show up in your presence. And when it is there, you can ask it a question, or you can invite a message, remembering that this is your imagination at work. Let it be whatever it's going to be. Beautiful. And now, invite whatever energy it is that has shown up to lovingly return from whence it came. And taking a big inhale in. And on the exhale, coming back to present moment. And taking another deep breath in, slowly. And on the exhale, gently open your eyes. And one more deep breath in. And on the exhale, make eye contact with somebody in the room so we know you're back. Look at somebody in the eyes. I know it's awkward, but we're not in an elevator. You can look at each other. I would love it if somebody would like to share what that experience was like for them briefly. Is there anyone who's willing to be brave and put their hand up? Oh, come on, you guys. Oh, there we go. Beautiful. Wow. Excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, now that someone's broken the ice, anybody else? Oh, you guys are so cute. Okay, we're going to do one more. Do you know that not only do you have spirit guides, but that you quite possibly have been a spirit guide? Okay, who's read Many Masters, Many Lives, Journey of the Soul? There's some hypnosis tricks out there that can take you to these places where you have done this work for other people. Why not? Why not? Do you think that coming into human existence in life means that somehow you're at this level here and you got to slog all through it before you get up to this spiritual plateau? No, we're all in this together. And your best friend, okay, let me put it this way. My best friend in the Crimean War took a musket for me, died on the battlefield in my arms. We were both, I remember it so clearly, and wearing the uniforms that we were wearing, the whole thing. And he never came back into physical form. And when I first saw him when I was 16 years old, and he showed up, I realized where the dreams had been coming from. That's another way that they communicate with us. And this whole story comes in about this beautiful young man named Joshua who took that musket for me so that I could have whatever that life was that it was going to be, and then came back in this lifetime to continue that, to continue looking out for me and continue being there for me. When I did my first regression into my own experience of being a spirit guide, first of all, my reaction was probably similar to some of yours. What are you talking about? No, that's not how it works. There's levels here. There's organization. So I wasn't expecting anything. And this life unfolds. I see this little boy. He's Japanese. It's maybe 300 or 400 years ago. And I knew immediately what his life purpose was. His purpose was when he came to the place of having to make a really important decision in his life, does he go to be creative and artistic and spiritual, or does he go to be the samurai? He had asked that we made sure, myself and the others, that he took that path, the creative, artistic, spiritual path. Remember when I said earlier that relationship, that those spirit guides sometimes throw their hands up and are just so upset that they're not being listened to? I say that because I know exactly what that's like. Because he took that path. He took the warrior path. And he was a great warrior, but that wasn't what he came into this lifetime to do or to be. And as his spirit guide, I had to walk with him through that other path, knowing that that wasn't what the soul had asked to have happen. And I can tell you, I yelled at him so loudly, not that he heard me, but I did. I want you to have an experience tonight, our last exercise. Now, you may surprise yourself and see something incredibly vivid about you being there for somebody else. What also might happen is you might see yourself in a role doing something else that is job-oriented over on the other side. I'm not going to say anything more about that until we're done with the visualization. Okay? Everybody ready? Okay. So again, nice deep breath in. And again. One more time. So remember that beautiful, peaceful, tranquil place that you created with your imagination. I want you to go there again. And I want you to land there and feel yourself surrounded by it. And you're going to send out an invitation again. And this time the invitation is going to say, please show me a life that I helped with, that I guided. Or please show me a task or work that I have done on the other side. And from your heart, send out that invitation. And allow the imagery to start coming in. Allow that story to start showing up. If you are connecting with a lifetime, start at the beginning. Watch that little being being born. Observe. Pay attention. What culture are they coming into? What color is their skin, their hair, their eyes? Are they a boy or a girl? Fill it in. And then allow the movie to move forward and the important parts of their life to show up, the parts where you stepped in and helped out. Watch them make decisions for themselves and feel the pride in the responsibility that they're taking for themselves. Watch them learn and grow. If you are being shown work that you have done on the other side, allow that story to unfold. Who are you with? What is your job? Do you love it? And so allow it to unfold. Allow the information to come in whatever way it is for you. If you are connecting with a life that you have guided, see that life to its conclusion. And as that person leaves their body behind, who's there with them? Do they see you? Do they recognize you? Are there others helping? And if you're witnessing the work that you have done, you can ask of its purpose. What are you going to be doing next? Is there anyone that you're working with who you know in this lifetime, in physical form? And give yourselves a moment to just be in whatever experience it is that you're having. Beautiful. And taking a nice deep breath in. And exhaling. That's 3. Becoming aware of the room. Big breath in. That's 2. Slowly opening your eyes. 1 more breath. That's 1. Even if you don't want to come back, open your eyes and make eye contact with somebody else in the room. Brave soul? Yes.
I saw myself in my place, and when I asked to see my life, I felt to some of the work you did, I was watching myself on the field, and myself stood up and walked into myself.
Interesting. Yeah, that's very interesting. I don't know what it means, but it's very interesting. And I say that because it's your experience. So if what it means to you is that you are here to help yourself, that there is an aspect of yourself that is part of your spirit guide crew, then that's real for you, right? Everyone heard the term bilocation? You can be in more than one place at one time. And you are part of a much larger soul group. And that's a whole other workshop conversation. But within that, there are aspects of yourself that go out into the world and do different things. And that sounds like what you're describing from where I'm standing. That there is a part of yourself that is outside of your physical self that knows you so well that she knows exactly what it is that you want and desire. And she's there to help. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else? Yes?
I didn't see anything, but I felt something.
Mm-hmm.
I felt there was something moving around. It was very warm. And, first I was like, oh, was it me? Am I warm? And it wasn't. It was like, I felt it kind of floating around.
Oh.
I feel it now.
You can feel it now?
No.
Oh, you can't feel it now, okay.
It was, yeah, it was not connected to me, it was like external.
Mm-hmm. It is what it is. Well, what does your self say that it is?
And I don't know that it necessarily related to my spirit life, but it was something to do with my
Okay. So you see, the thing is, when you go into these visualizations, you're in a receptive state, which means that you're open to receiving whatever it is that you most need right now to know about or to be aware of, whatever your experience was. Today is September 11th, and we're talking about spirit guides, which is sort of interesting. And the reason that I wanted you to have this last experience of possibly being somebody else's guide or doing work on the other side is because of what this day is. And we all know what happened on September 11th. And we know that a lot of people lost their lives on September 11th in New York. And what I know from the work that I've done and this regression that I've done with a number of people now is that some of you were working that day in spirit to help those people cross over. Right? Again, a whole other conversation about when we die and the different kind of deaths that we have and then who's there to help us on the other side. When there is a mass event like that and lots of people die at the same time over a short period of time, it's very, very busy on the other side. And a lot of souls are required to help with that particular type of crossover. Recently, I held a 7-day intuitive intensive back in June, and we did this exercise. And one of my students said to me, I was helping. That's what I was doing. And now I realize I do that all the time. She says, I have these dreams where there's a tsunami or there's an earthquake, and I'm there helping the souls move out of their physical bodies, with lots of other souls doing the same thing. This is the kind of work that gets done over there. I've had 3 or 4 clients now in this regression go into that, and most of them were 9/11 actually, that they were there. So they were here physically in Victoria, but they were there in energy, helping out. And then some of them as well, it was the work that they were doing in between lives, was to be part of that group of souls that helps with those sorts of experiences. Yeah. And as traumatic as 9/11 was, and absolutely there's no question, what I know is that when each of those people left their physical bodies, they were greeted and well treated and helped and were able to move through that experience because of all those energy beings that are doing that. Just out of curiosity, and you don't need to say what your experience was if you don't want to, but was there anybody in the room who found themselves doing work on the other side instead of guiding a light? Do you want to share? That's the hallmark of what I do.
At first I thought it was like a reaping. I could see it was a First Nations fellow. He was a young warrior who had died in battle, and I was helping carry him over. And then it kind of struck me that it was sort of like a Valkyrie feeling, where you're sort of carrying them on to the other side. Like, I guess it is a little bit.
Yeah.
But there was a lot that were sort of coming out. I had a lot of faces, so I think I did it multiple times.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was interesting because it was in the spot that is my happy place, that I always go to, and yet there were all of these faces kept coming up as I was carrying them over.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that of me. So.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. You know that happy place? That's where you do all your work from. So remember what it looked like and go there whenever you want to. Use it. That's your heart center. That's your heart space. Okay. It's been a really full evening. Do we have time? We do. Awesome. I wanted to open up the floor to any questions that you came with that didn't get answered, or anything that came up for you over the course of the last hour and a half, I would like to open up the floor. Yes?
So when a loved person passes away, my partner passed away last year, and I feel like he's my spirit guide. Does it happen like that fast?
Sure. If he's done his work, and remember, time is different on the other side.
I still hear him, and he told me that. He said if I lived another 40 years, that to him I would die in that same instant as we were having the conversation.
Yeah. So you can hear him.
I can.
He's talking to you,
Yeah.
and he's helping to guide you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sure. The question was, she has just lost her partner a year ago and feels that he is guiding her now. Is it possible for that turnover to happen so quickly? And that was where the response was, well, yes, because it is a different time frame. We're in very linear time here, but time itself actually isn't linear. So there's lots that can go on over the course of time that might seem quick to us, but actually have a whole different time frame on the other side.
And he said as well that he would be very present with me, but not all the time. He called me Booze. He said I have to go see what's mine to do here too. So you'll feel me and then not feel me, even though I will always be present with you.
Yeah.
So you had said something earlier about that, and I was going, yeah, they're not always here, even though they're always here.
Yeah. And it can be a little confusing when you think of that. They're always here, but they're not always here. But remember that bilocation. That energy is not restricted to our physical body. Not even our own energy isn't restricted to our physical body. When we're not in corporeal form, there's no limit to what you can do and what you can experience. Is there anyone here that's read the Seth material? Jane Roberts' Seth material? Okay. I would highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. If you haven't come across it yet, it's the Seth material by Jane Roberts. There's a whole series of books that Jane channeled from this entity who called himself Seth. It's very grounded stuff, which is one of the reasons I love it. As you might have noticed, I'm pretty grounded because a lot of this is fun and it's funny and we might as well enjoy ourselves with it. And what I love about the Seth material is that he doesn't do flowery language. This is what it is. This is what it's like. And he takes us into some really amazing places and pieces of knowledge. So if that, yeah, I would recommend that. It was life-changing for me when I started reading the Seth material. Was that helpful?
Thank you.
Beautiful. Anyone else? Wow, I was that good? Yes.
During one of the meditations, you asked us to know who we were seeing or what we were seeing. And I actually went home and visited my cat. and I think he's been missing us. Like I haven't spent enough time with him, and I just got a lecture.
Oh. I love it.
So I'm going to be spending more time with him tomorrow. But it was really fun because when I know it's true, he squints his eyes like that. He just kind of closes his eyes and he's like,
And were you expecting anything like that to come through in the meditation? No. That's why it's so good.
I was hoping for ground shaking, but it was more of a lecture.
Well, here's the thing. Now that you have these meditations, you can do them for yourselves at home. You can remember them and take yourself through that process and really trust and allow that information to come in. And remember to create your intention around that psychic safety. I ask that only that is for my highest good shows up. And then allow. And don't judge it. And don't filter it. Let it be whatever it is. And if you don't get it in the first time, don't worry about it. Right? Don't make yourself wrong. Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions? Yes.
When we were visualizing whether we helped someone or whether we did a task, I was trying to focus down here, but up here I was seated writing on a scroll. And there was another being beside me, standing beside me. I don't know whether he was guiding me, but I was like, no, I want see this over here. it kept drawing my attention back over here, which is kind of interesting. And I'm very, like, I do a lot of research, so it kind of fits.
Yeah.
It's like, oh crap, I'm an administrator.
Did everybody hear what she said? What she shared with us? That her experience, she had wanted it to be something over here, and instead her awareness kept being brought up to this image of herself writing on a scroll. That's part of the work that you do now, I understand, like working with research and that, right? In this current moment, this current lifetime. And then here's this spirit form doing the same thing, and her response was, oh, damn it, I'm an administrator on the other side. But someone's got to keep track of stuff. And what if you were an educator? What if you were holding sacred knowledge in that scroll?
That's like writing people's life records. That's what I...
Oh, wow.
Writing people's life experience.
Right. So
Keeping the record.
Keeping the records. A record keeper. Yeah. You guys are familiar with the Akashic records? Yeah. That's what she's talking about. That's wonderful. Thank you. So let's take one more question. Yes. Yeah, make it a good one.
I've been doing automatic writing, and only it's stopped. And I'm curious, do you know any resources or book training that can help to get that?
Only you can. Yeah. I mean, yes, you could read all kinds of books on automatic writing. Did everyone hear her question, by the way? That she has done a lot of automatic writing, but now it's stopped, and she's wondering if there are any resources that she can tap into to bring it back. Pardon me?
Want to try asking for messages to come back to the feedback?
Okay. Maybe right now, there's other things that you need to be focusing on in your life. And that distraction is not the direction you need to be going in right now. Maybe there's other ways that information wants to come through you that you need to explore. Yeah, you're welcome. Okay. So we have brought with us a number of the healing products that I have intuitively made with the help of Spirit over the last 4 years. When I work with my clients, what I want for my clients when they leave is to have the tools and the empowerment to continue their healing outside of the sessions that we have with one another. So we've brought the chakra crystal oils that I've created. Each one is an intuitive aromatherapy blend. And when I say intuitive aromatherapy, I mean I'm not actually following any of the rules of aromatherapy. So if there's any aromatherapists in the audience, I apologize. This is just how I do it. And then in each bottle, there's a little crystal that corresponds as well to the chakras. There's 10 oils in that set, the regular 7 that most people are familiar with. And then the soul chakra. This is where all your Akashic records are kept, by the way, and all your solutions. So next time you don't know what the answer is, go here to find it before you call on your spirit guides, because they got other things to do. As well as the hand chakras and the feet chakras. We've got samples over there. You can play with them, open them up, sniff them, put them on. The other product that I create is something called nature essences. Some of you might be familiar with the tinctures, nature tinctures that are made from plants, from flowers. The set that I've created has been made from stories. They come from client stories and needs or my own. That's like the boundaries that I was telling you about before. There's also 10 in this set. They're all different. Some of them are cyclical, new moon, full moon, summer solstice. Some of them are plant, flower-based, and others are ocean-based as well. They also have an aromatherapy blend in them, an intuitive aromatherapy blend. And those are the ones that you spray. So have fun spraying them, because they're really fun and they smell great. The information is over there. And then we've also brought copies of my book, The Heart's Journey, Healing Hearts, Oracle Cards, and Guidebook. I'm reaching that point. And this is the story that I told you about the hearts, and how and why they came into my life, and what I ended up doing with them, and then how to work with these oracle cards, and how to use them as healing tools and meditation tools. And then each card has its own story. Each heart has its own story. I work with stories. That's what I do. I hold yours, and I have my own. And this is the sharing of my own. We're just about to launch with Balboa and Hay House with this book and oracle cards. So the ones that we've brought tonight are the ones that we printed ourselves. We did a self-run print. They're in beautiful organza bags. There's a whole bunch that I've signed They're usually retail for $49.99. Tonight they're going for $25. So grab your coffee because that's pretty much all that's left before they go into a boxed set. And then the last thing that I want to share with you is about the classes that I teach. I have a 7-day intuitive intensive coming up in November. That's 2 full days of workshops, and then the 5 days in between connecting on a private Facebook page where you continue learning and hooking up with each other and having your experiences. Next weekend, I have a retreat coming up called the Essence of Spirit Retreat, and it's on Main Island at our family cottage. And it's a beautiful 3 days of just diving right into nature and using nature as a springboard for connecting with your intuition and really opening yourself up to all of these awarenesses and things that we've been talking about tonight. And I just got news that 2 of my members have had to move or had to leave the retreat. So we have 4 spots that have just opened up. So all the information for that is over on the table as well, or you can come and talk to me about any of these or go to the website. If you've put your name down on our email sheet, we're going to be putting you on our newsletter list. I send out a newsletter once or twice a month. There's a few people in the room here who I know are already receiving it. It's usually a discussion and then upcoming events. So if you put your name on it and you don't want to be on that newsletter list, please just let us know. Just go back over to the form and give us a little indication. Otherwise, I would love to be able to stay connected with you and share with you each month. I want to thank you from my heart for being here tonight, for participating, for being really courageous and showing up for yourself and for your spirit guides. And I wish you blessings on your journey. Thank you so much.